America, something huge just happened in Europe, and it should grab our attention because it's a warning for the freedom we hold right here at home. The European Union just fined Elon Musk $140 million, a staggering sum meant to punish him for what they call violations of their speech rules, but instead of silencing him, it ignited a firestorm. X, Musk's platform, has now hit record-breaking downloads across every European country. Ordinary people are rejecting unelected bureaucrats trying to dictate what they can see, share, or say. Some are calling it a backlash that could signal the beginning of the end for the EU as we know it. And here's why it matters to Americans. This isn't just a European drama. It's a lesson in free speech, government overreach, and the fight between the elites and the people. A fight that is already happening in our country. Brussels thought punishing Musk would crush his influence. Instead, it proved the opposite. Citizens are taking back their power. And that's exactly the kind of battle our country could face if we allow the same kind of bureaucratic control over our digital lives. If you care about freedom of speech, personal liberty, and the principle that power should serve the people, not control them, then this story is a must-watch. Because what's happening in Europe is more than a tech dispute. It's a warning for America. The fight for digital freedom is global, and the lessons are coming straight to our doorstep. Subscribe, stay with me, and let's unpack why this could be the moment that changes the EU, and why we should care here in the US. Now, let's break down what really lit the fuse. This isn't just about a blue checkmark. The European Union didn't just fine Elon Musk's platform 120 million euros. They blocked the European Commission from running ads on X, Musk's site, effectively weaponizing bureaucracy against a US-based company. The EU claimed X's verified accounts system was deceptive and put users at risk. But Musk didn't back down. Not quietly, not politely. He fired back. Nikita Beer, a senior executive at X, called out the commission, saying they tried to exploit a minor glitch to push their narrative. Beer's words were sharp. It seems you believe the rules should not apply to your account? Your ad account has been terminated. Make no mistake, that wasn't just tech speak. That was a symbolic strike. A statement that X would not bow to unelected bureaucrats. The EU tried to justify it, claiming it was simply using tools available to corporate accounts. But Americans need to understand what's happening here. This is about bureaucrats trying to control information, manipulate narratives, and punish a platform that refuses to play by their rules. Musk called the EU a bureaucratic disaster and said it should be abolished. He even retweeted comparisons to fascism, and it wasn't just Musk making noise. US officials are weighing in. Senator Marco Rubio and the FCC slammed the EU's actions, warning that American companies won't be bullied or censored by foreign regulators. The days of censoring Americans online are over, they said. This battle isn't unique to Europe. Musk and X have faced regulators from Brazil to Australia, and each time the pattern is the same. Governments try to dictate rules, platforms push back, and the fight becomes a test of free speech versus bureaucratic overreach. And now Europe is putting the pressure on. X has 60 days to respond about the blue checkmark issue, and 90 days to submit a full action plan on ad transparency and access to public data. Fail to comply and heavier penalties loom. But here's the bigger picture for Americans. This isn't just a fine. It's a warning shot about freedom, innovation, and sovereignty. When bureaucrats can dictate what people see and say online, nobody's voice is safe. Even millions of users can be treated as pawns. Elon Musk has framed the fight in stark terms. The EU's fine is an attack on free speech, and Europe's public response proves him right. Hilary Fordwich, president of Strelmark, told Sky News Digital that X saw record-breaking downloads across Europe, jumping to #1 in every country. The public wasn't obeying the bureaucrats, they were rebelling against them. This is more than tech drama. This is David versus Goliath. A single company, led by a visionary, standing up to sprawling, unelected bureaucracies. It's about courage, defiance, and refusing to let authority crush liberty. And here's the warning for the US. If foreign regulators can impose fines, control messaging, or dictate platform rules overseas, there's nothing stopping similar overreach from being aimed at American companies or American users next. The stakes are clear. This is a battle over who controls information, who decides what Americans see, and whether online freedom survives. Record-breaking downloads, global attention, and explosive rhetoric prove one thing: power and authority may clash, but liberty fights back. For Americans watching, the lesson is simple. This isn't just happening in Europe. The fight for online freedom is coming to your backyard next. To understand why this storm around X and Musk matters so much, we need to look at the bigger picture. Because this isn't the first time the European Union has faced serious pushback, and it won't be the last. The EU was founded with lofty ideals: peace, cooperation, and shared prosperity across a fractured continent. But over the decades, it has grown into a sprawling bureaucracy, unelected, unaccountable, and increasingly disconnected from the citizens it claims to represent. From the beginning, critics have warned, centralizing power in Brussels comes at a cost. National governments lose authority, citizens lose voice, policies get made behind closed doors, and when mistakes happen, there's no one truly responsible. Time and again, the EU has been challenged by the people it governs. In 2015, mass migration crises tested the Union's ability to protect borders, sovereignty, and citizen safety. Several member states openly resisted Brussels' mandates, asserting national control over immigration and security. In 2016, the United Kingdom voted to leave the EU in Brexit, a seismic warning that citizens will not quietly accept decisions made by distant bureaucrats. The vote sent shockwaves through Europe and showed that populations push back when authority overreaches. More recently, the EU has taken a heavy-handed approach to tech companies, social media, and free speech, using sweeping regulations like the Digital Services Act, DSA, to dictate how platforms operate, often without considering the impact on innovation, freedom of expression, or international competition. The common thread: citizens and companies are pushing back against overreach, questioning whether the EU still serves the people or just its own machinery. Now, with the X controversy, we are seeing a new flashpoint. The EU fined a US-based platform €120 million, blocked its corporate ads, and tried to enforce compliance on rules that Americans and Europeans alike might see as overstepping. The backlash, record-breaking downloads, explosive rhetoric, and international condemnation, is part of a long tradition of resistance against the EU's centralized authority. In short, this isn't just a modern tech story, it's the latest chapter in a decades-long struggle between bureaucratic control and popular sovereignty. The European Union, for all its power, is being challenged, and for many, this latest clash with Musk isn't just about social media. It's a warning. The EU's authority is not absolute, and the public is willing to fight back. For Americans watching, this should raise a red flag. What's happening in Europe isn't isolated. It's a glimpse of what happens when power is concentrated, accountability disappears, and citizens refuse to stay silent. And as we watch this story unfold, the question isn't just whether Musk can win this battle, it's whether the EU itself can survive being challenged by the very people it claims to serve. Americans watching this story unfold should pay very close attention, because what's happening in Europe isn't just a regional dispute. It's a warning signal about the future of digital freedom, corporate sovereignty, and even national power. Political analysts and international affairs experts are already weighing in. Dr. Helen Stratton, a European policy scholar at Strelmark Institute, explains, "The EU has spent decades expanding its regulatory authority across borders, often with little accountability. Musk's conflict with the European Commission is not an isolated tech story. It is emblematic of a systemic problem where centralized bureaucracies assert power over both citizens and foreign entities, bypassing traditional democratic checks. Here's the heart of the issue. The Digital Services Act, under which X was fined, is the EU's attempt to control the flow of information, regulate speech, and impose transparency rules that extend far beyond its borders. The intention is framed as protecting users, and in some ways, it does create safeguards against fraud and scams. But the implementation reveals a deeper problem. Power without proportional accountability, where bureaucrats dictate terms for platforms serving millions of people globally. For Americans, this has immediate relevance. Senator Marco Rubio and other US officials have already called out the EU's actions as an infringement on American business sovereignty and a threat to free expression. If European regulators can impose fines, block advertising, and dictate operational changes for a US-based platform, the precedent is clear. Foreign bureaucracies can attempt to influence American companies and, by extension, American users. From a strategic perspective, experts warn this could signal a shift in global governance, information control as a geopolitical tool. By regulating speech and enforcing compliance, the EU can shape narratives, influence markets, and exert soft power far beyond Europe's borders. Erosion of corporate independence. When regulations are extraterritorial, US-based platforms must choose between compliance with foreign bureaucracies or defending their operational freedom, a choice with enormous financial, political, and cultural consequences. Precedent for centralized authority. If left unchecked, other governments or international blocs may follow suit, potentially restricting access to information, controlling advertising, and shaping public discourse on a global scale. Elon Musk's response isn't just defensive posturing. It's a strategic stand for sovereignty, innovation, and the principle of free speech. By blocking the European Commission's ad accounts and publicly denouncing the fine, Musk is signaling a broader message. American companies and American citizens will not bow to foreign bureaucrats who overreach, and the consequences are already rippling. In Europe, X downloads surged to record highs, proving that people instinctively resist control and will mobilize when they feel freedom is threatened. In the US, the political and cultural conversation is now unmistakable. Debates over digital freedom, regulatory overreach, and global power dynamics are moving from theory to front-page reality. This moment is more than a legal fight. It is a geopolitical chess match between centralized authority and decentralized innovation, between bureaucratic control and individual freedom, between the EU's vision of governance and the American ethos of liberty. For Americans, the takeaway is clear. The ex-EU conflict is a case study in defending freedom in the digital age, and it's a reminder that liberty, whether online, economic, or political, is never guaranteed. It must be protected, challenged when threatened, and actively defended against overreach. Because, make no mistake, what happens in Europe today could define the rules of engagement for free expression tomorrow, and it may not stay confined to the old continent. Europe is at a crossroads. What was once hailed as a model of unity and stability is now showing cracks that could shake the continent to its core. The EU promised cooperation, prosperity, and a stronger voice on the global stage. But today, that vision is under fire. And what we're seeing with Musk and X is just the beginning. For years, unelected bureaucrats in Brussels have made sweeping decisions that affect millions of citizens and businesses, often with little accountability. Rules, fines, restrictions, all designed to control, to regulate, to dictate. And when they tried to impose their authority on X, the response was immediate. Record-breaking downloads, users rallying, millions saying, in effect, we will not be controlled. The problem runs deeper than tech. Across Europe, member states are pulling in different directions. Economic struggles, migration crises, and rising nationalism are creating fault lines that no central office can patch over. Countries like Hungary, Poland, Italy, all pushing back, all questioning the very authority of Brussels. And when the members of a union refuse to follow its rules, the foundation begins to wobble. Then there's the economic angle. Heavy regulations, massive fines, strict mandates. They don't just enforce policy. They stifle innovation. They push companies away. They weaken competitiveness. The Musk-X clash is a warning sign. It's not just about social media. It's about whether Europe can remain a hub for business and innovation while overregulating every corner of the digital world. And it's not only economics. Europe is deeply polarized. Populist movements are rising everywhere. Citizens are fed up with rules imposed from afar. They want sovereignty, they want freedom, they want their voices to matter. Musk's defiance didn't just challenge a fine, it lit a spark. It tapped into a sentiment that has been simmering for years. The people are tired of being silenced by bureaucrats. This is also a fight for identity. The EU was born to prevent war, to foster trade, to bring nations together. Today, it risks being seen as distant, elitist, and unaccountable. Citizens are asking the hard question, what is this union really for? And if the EU cannot answer that, its very legitimacy is at risk. The Musk X saga is more than a tech controversy. It's a mirror showing the weaknesses of the EU. Overreach, loss of trust, economic friction, political division, and a crisis of purpose. And when these cracks continue to widen, the EU as we know it may not survive. For Americans watching, this is more than European politics. It's a warning. It's a glimpse of what happens when centralized power goes unchecked, when authority is divorced from the people it is supposed to serve. It's a lesson in freedom, in resistance, and in the value of standing up when governance oversteps its bounds. Because one thing is clear, when power is challenged, when the people push back, the world can change. And that change may be coming to Europe first, with consequences the entire globe will feel. This story doesn't end with fines and blocked ad accounts. This is about much more than Musk or X. This is a battle over the future of digital freedom, innovation, and who controls the flow of information in the 21st century. The European Union, with its towering bureaucracy and regulations, thinks it can dictate how platforms operate, even American platforms used by millions of US citizens. But Musk isn't backing down. He has turned this dispute into a rallying cry for free speech, transparency, and user choice. Record-breaking downloads of X across Europe show one thing loud and clear. Ordinary people reject the EU's heavy-handed control. And for Americans watching, this is a warning and a call to action. If European regulators can impose their rules on US-based tech giants, what's to stop similar overreach here at home? Musk's fight now takes on global significance. Every legal battle, every court filing, every viral tweet becomes a test case for free expression. Will governments, whether in Brussels or Washington, be allowed to wield unchecked power over private platforms? Or will innovators like Musk push back and defend the right of citizens to speak, share, and engage without interference? The stakes are enormous. For users, a victory for Musk would mean freedom to engage online without fear of being silenced by distant bureaucrats. For tech companies, it sets a precedent that innovation cannot be strangled by regulatory overreach. For governments, it challenges the assumption that rules alone can control the digital world. For Americans, it's a reminder that defending liberty in the online space is just as crucial as defending it on the streets or in courtrooms. And the tension isn't hypothetical. US lawmakers have already weighed in, warning that European-style censorship could spread to American platforms if left unchecked. Musk's fight, in essence, becomes a battle for American values on a global stage. Free speech, entrepreneurial liberty, and the principle that citizens, not bureaucrats, decide the boundaries of discourse. So, as the EU counts the fines and plots its next move, Musk isn't just defending his company. He's defending a vision of the digital world where freedom comes first, rules follow, and citizens are empowered, not controlled. For millions of Americans, this is a wake-up call. The war for online liberty has already begun, and its outcome will affect every post, every tweet, and every voice in the digital age. Because make no mistake, this is bigger than Europe. It's about who shapes the narrative, who holds the power, and whether freedom of speech remains a global standard or just a memory. America, this isn't just a fight over a social media platform. This is a fight for freedom itself. What's happening in Europe today could happen here tomorrow. Bureaucrats trying to control what you see, what you say, what you share, all under the guise of regulation. And make no mistake, it's a warning shot across the bow for every American citizen. Elon Musk is standing up, and his battle is our battle. Every download, every protest, every headline is a signal we will not be silenced. So here's what you need to do. Stay informed. Understand how this fight affects your freedom of speech. Speak out. Share this story, discuss it, and make your voice heard. Support platforms that defend liberty, because your online rights are just as sacred as your offline rights. The world is watching. The EU has made its move, and Musk has made his stand. Now it's up to Americans to decide, will we let freedom be dictated, or will we fight to defend it? If you care about free speech, innovation, and the American way of life, don't scroll past this. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because the next chapter of this fight could determine the future of the internet and the freedom of every American. Because in the digital age, liberty isn't guaranteed. It has to be defended, and the time to defend it is now.